I have problems with this story. I did not hate this. It was okay. I enjoyed most of it. It made a really good first impression. And then throughout the game, I've sort of waffled back and forth if I liked it or not. I feel like there's a lot of systems that are just over-designed, with elements that are there because other games do it without understanding why they do it. So, like, parries. Parry system are a big thing right now. FromSoft made Sekiro, which is a game where you just do nothing but parries, and it was really cool. And everyone just went fucking berserk about that. So in Super Mario RPG, there's no parries. You can, like, press a button to defend, but it just reduces the damage you take. In Paper Mario, they took it to the next level. You have a button to defend, and then you have a button to parry. The parry is a much tighter timing. The game does not expect you to parry everything. Like, I think you could play most of Paper Mario without ever defending. You could still win. You would need, like, probably to put on extra health and not go badges every time. I just feel like the way they designed the battle system, they really want you to parry literally everything. But they also design attacks to have, like, arbitrary timing. Like, you're not gonna know the timing the first time. And even with dodges, even, like, the thing that they tell you is the dodges have more generous timing, so you do dodges first, and when you're confident, do parries. But the problem is that the dodge timing isn't that much more large, and when you don't know what the attack looks like, it's completely arbitrary when the hit is gonna come. You press the button whenever it feels like it's gonna come, but you don't know. Like, it's a thing you have to internalize over time. It's not just enough to just give you a larger timing. It's still tight. Like, I can get used to the timing on any of these bosses, any of these attacks. It just takes time. And it's... At some point I was like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Like, it's just arbitrary timing after arbitrary timing. Like, there's no variation to it. It's just each attack animation is going to have its own arbitrary timing, and it's not really, like, set to a specific rhythm or anything. It's not... Like, some of them are. Some of them have their own rhythm, and then some of them are just, like, the enemy slashes, like, 12 times, and they just slow down and go faster and slow... It's... I don't know. Like, it's just a memorization chore. You're just memorizing stuff. It doesn't... It feels too binary. They have, like, these 12 attack combos, and if you get hit by, like, 2 of them, you die. I feel like people who see Sekiro are just like, oh, you press the button at the correct time and you do the parry. Sekiro is much more generous than that. In Sekiro, you can just hold the button to block, and then, like, it blocks the attack completely. Your stance gauge takes a hit, and if your stance gauge gets full, you get stunned for a bit. But, like, that's, like, your stance gauge is deliberately, it's the margin you have for mistiming your parry or just holding the block button. And then as you fight the guy with that generous system, you get used to him, and it's a better way to learn timing of attacks. And also Sekiro has a lot of other systems. You know, the thing about having a system with dodges and parries is that movement is involved. When it's a turn-based battle system, like those systems, having a parry and a dodge, that's neat. But I think it's like a little bonus thing you should put into, like, incentivize the player to stay attentive, like what Paper Mario does. I don't necessarily think you should make it like the one mechanic that determines everything. I'm just holding parry, I'm just holding block, and like, the sword bounces off without killing me. My stance gauge is going up. Like, if it gets full, and yeah, I'm gonna get stunned, and then the enemy has an opportunity, but like, I can just do this and not take damage. And like, they could have done a thing in Clair Obscure where you just, you know, you could defend, hold the button, take a little bit of damage, but not too much. And it tells you when the timing for parrying is. Well, got too greedy.
You're going to die here. Why don't you just leave? You can always come back.
The moment I leave, Papa will erase this canvas.
Decide the fate of the canvas. Oh, okay, I get to choose. So, I sure hope she doesn't keep her Pictos.
Wait, why are you fighting as Verso?
Oh, okay. So what is the choice here? The choice is she gets to keep living in Fantasyland and it kills her, or we kick her out and the painting gets like I'm annoyed with this choice because the dad promised he wouldn't erase the painting, and she's like, but he's gonna. Like, maybe your family's just abusive, I don't know. This is a non-choice to me, because they established, oh, you can do it healthily, you're just not doing it. You could just leave and come back later, and the reason she's like, no, that wouldn't work is because Dad would destroy the painting. But, just... I don't know. You already kicked him out. You already accepted that you wouldn't let him. This doesn't work for me. I don't know. I don't really agree with Mile on this one, but also Verso's acting like everything should. This is a non-choice. I hate this. I guess in a way it's like she needs to accept. If she stays, then she just remains in denial over her loss.
You'll never have to suffer a life you don't want.
And if she leaves, she gets to accept it. She's kind of forced to accept it. I don't like the way this is done. Her agency is being taken away from her. I think that sucks.
It feels like the choice between dad and mom.
Women be lying to themselves and living in fantasy worlds, and men be bringing them back to reality. Am I right?
But also the fantasy world is real. You can go there. And it's like, you'll die if you stay here. It's like, yes, I live, I die. It's how it works.
I'm guessing it's like, it makes their, like, the time in the world is slower than like, it's not the same, whatever. Like, 1 year in that world seems to be a day at most in the real world. But like, if they stay in there too long, it's like, it makes your life outside shorter, because it's unhealthy for you. Ciel and Lune don't get to make a choice in this, do they? She looks so disappointed in you.
Oh yeah, because you made you did a bad choose.
It's like they're framing this as like the difficult choice that you have to make. I'm kind of annoyed that I just noticed. Oh, the two main women want to be.
It's okay.
in denial in fantasy, and the two men are like trying to bring them back to reality, and that just feels really misogynistic to me. If they had reversed one role, I would have liked that more. Like, they could have reversed the Paintress and Renoir. And then I would have been okay with it. Papa, can I have an eye patch, please? If I'm gonna have this fucked up face, at least make it look cool. Bye, guys.
Why did we bother fighting Dad?
That's a good question, Verso. Why did we, if you're gonna just kick me out? Should have just done that to begin with.
It's because he wanted to pretend. He wanted to pretend that the choice he was making wasn't going to erase reality. Like, Verso was dead set on this. Like, he was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna respect Alicia's wish to tell them that the world's gonna get erased if we defeat the Paintress. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna let the world get erased, and then at least the real Alicia's like, wait, what the fuck? Why'd you do that? And then he's just like, I'm still gonna be here, but I'm gonna be a brooding man.
Yeah, alright, let's go. Let's do the other ending. I feel like the message is just muddled, because there's just an obvious solution to this. You just need to be in your painting with moderation. Is that so hard to ask for?
Yes, because your family's abusive and will destroy the painting unless you live in it.
Fucking jump scare. I think this might be the bad ending.
I'm not convinced.
I mean, clearly they want you to think this is the bad ending. In the other one, she, like, gets back to her family. They all accept the death of Verso. And all it took was erase a fictional world.
Except the fictional world's also real.
Look, it might seem real because you can go there, but also you can go in a video game. It's called VR. That doesn't mean the video game's real.
Pauline, this is magic, alright? What's the point of these powers? Why are they just like, no painting? It's just like, then why are you painters?
What's the point?
Why are you bothering having this war with the writers?
Like, it's not that they don't want to paint, it's that they should stop obsessing over this one specific painting. It's destroying them. They can still paint other things. In fact, they should paint other things now to get over that guy who died. For being a guy who died, we had to suffer him a lot.
I'm not convinced at all by this logic.
I'm just trying...
Like, the game starts from the point of view of a fictional character.
Well, because they want to... That's another thing about the way the story goes. I feel like this game has a lot of different themes that it wants to explore, but then it just kind of jumps from one to the next without really resolving them. So, like, the game started with this, like, very high concept idea of the world is getting smaller. Like, the world is just erasing us one by one. And you can interpret that as, like, the world can't sustain us anymore, we're running out of resources, or, like, other things. Like, it can stay vague. It doesn't have to have it's an abstract way to represent that. It doesn't have to have a concrete cause. But, like, that's a cool concept that I think a lot of people resonate with nowadays, because the world does kind of feel like that. And then
it turns out that The reason the world is ending is because this is all fictional and none of y'all matter. Fuck all y'all.
Yeah,
It
I don't
doesn't matter
know.
if you're dying.
I-
This family matters. This family that you don't know anything about and appear to be like horrible godlike monsters to you.
It I don't know. I feel like it just undermines itself. Just sort of throws, I don't know. Like the family plot isn't awful or anything. It's just they really wanted to have like a big plot twist, I guess.
Where no one explained anything.
Well, they explained enough. I understood what
No.
was happening.
No, I mean they didn't explain to begin with.
Right. No, yeah, the way Painted Renoir just talks to you like, you don't know the truth, you can't handle the truth, and it's like, if you explain to us,
This is all her fault and she doesn't know it.
if you had explained anything to us, we could have helped you, we could have worked in your interest, and you just didn't. Like, that just pisses me off. That's just bad writing. That's just terrible. It's so transparently writing that is there to create mystery in a completely superficial manner, because there's no reason for this mystery to exist in hindsight. Also the way that the game is like, Verso is the real main character. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Like, okay, the hard choice at the end is that Maëlle has to leave the painting. She has to get over the death of her brother, and she has to stop being in this fantasy world where everything feels better because it's fantasy. It's just, she has perfect friends. She has like a perfect life. She's overpowered. And this would have worked so well if Maëlle had been the one getting those like friendship system going up, like friendship to max with Esquier. But it's Verso. They picked Verso to do this. Why?
Who is fictional and wants to die.
It's not about it. I don't understand that. I do not understand that. Why is Verso such a... Why does half the story think Verso is the main character? He is not. Maëlle is the main character from beginning to start. I understand having Gustave as the main character of Act 1 to kind of like sort of establish a baseline and then switch to Maëlle later as like to sort of give you like a feeling of loss. It kind of fumbled that by just giving you Verso instantly, which is just better Gustave.
Man, do you remember that stuff about like for those who come after and tomorrow comes?
Yeah, fuck that.
And then the message was either like just rebuild the world at the expense of this one little girl's life, or just tomorrow doesn't come. Everyone dies.
Oh, I want to talk about the concept of New Game Plus for a second. It feels like it's just a feature a lot of games are expected to have nowadays. And I feel like people forgot why New Game Plus existed in the first place. But like, I think Chrono Trigger is the first game that,
ready to see her again?
at the very least, popularized the idea of having a New Game Plus at the end of an RPG. But like, I feel like people forget
I set up these graphics.
Chrono Trigger,
Nice, huh?
the New Game Plus had a very specific purpose in that game, which was you could fight the final boss at any point in the game, and depending on when you did, you would get different endings. But now there's a lot of games that just include New Game Plus as a feature, was like, you can just restart from the beginning with all your stats and stuff, and it's like, that's neat, but there's no point in doing that. You didn't change the game at all.
Does the game think that choosing Mael is wrong, and that's why she's never the main character? And look, she's the first quote-unquote boss.
Yeah.
And so, like, she's possibly the last, also.
I wouldn't read too much into that. I don't know.
I would, because I don't like the story.
I guess. Remember Gustave's apprentice gave us the journal and rewrote in the journal for them. For the future. Oh wait, the future doesn't exist. Never mind. Get out of the painting.
Oh, also, Mael lived an entire life in the painting already, like an entire new childhood. And them being like, this is a fantasy world, you should stop living in it. It's just like, well, no, I've lived here my whole life, technically.
Ow.
Like, just because I remember another life in which I was this god, like, looking down on these people as being not real and, like, keeping my mother back.
Hey, we got something for you. A journal. It's symbolic. You can pave the path for the future, except eventually we don't exist, and the lesson is you should erase us.
Hey, did you know that fiction isn't real? It's like, yeah. That's the thing, is I hate games that... Not games. Well, yes,
Stories.
games. But I hate stories that... They hinge on the idea of stories not being real. Which... Like... That's what narratives are, yes. They're not real.
All the individual themes of the story of this game, I could get behind them as their own story. I just don't think they mesh together. I just feel like abandoning the whole thing of fighting for a world that feels like it's falling apart, and then suddenly it's just about this family. Like, the family plot on its own, I don't have anything against. The fighting for the future plot, and again, on its own, I don't have anything against. I just don't think... I feel like going from one to the other undermines them. I'm still mad at, like, the game thinking Verso is the main character. I still think that's dumb. Extra pisses me off when you get to Act 3, the third act is called Mael, and you're like, okay, Mael is the main character now, and then it just switches back to Verso.
No, Pauline, she's the final boss.
So stupid.
Like, if you live in a fantasy world, that's bad. You're gonna get paint splotches on you, and that means you bad choose.
Look, it's unhealthy because of all the paint fumes.
You guys need to practice a form of magic that does not involve paint thinner.
Look, they don't know how to do that. The writers won't tell them.
Oh, those writers. Why wouldn't Maya want to live the rest of her life in the painting?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't think you're really supposed to think about the painters too much. It's just like a thing that's happening in the outside world that's the catalyst for Verso's death, but it's not that important. It's not like a thing that you need to worry about.
It defines their lives. Where it's just like, you need to live your own life, and it's just like, well, what if my life is short and shitty because the writers kill me?
I don't know.
And it's like, you have the gift to paint beautiful things. It's like, you won't let me paint. You're like, don't live in fantasy worlds.
I don't think they're
bad for you.
I don't think they're necessarily saying you shouldn't paint. I think they're saying you shouldn't focus on this specific painting constantly all of the time. It's bad for, it's unhealthy mentally and physically. And you should paint other things maybe.
I just think that the whole thing about the fantasy world,
99.
like, bothers me because there's the people in there are so clearly sentient. And it's like, you shouldn't spend your whole life fixating on this fantasy. And it's just like, well, maybe you guys should stop creating life.
I don't.
Like,
I don't.
stop,
Yeah.
stop making people and then being mad when we treat them like people.
I mean, I think the idea is that art feels real. That doesn't mean it is. It just feels that way.
But we know that they're real.
Look, you're getting too.
I have to, god damn it.
You're getting a little too literal with what the game is trying to say, but to be fair, I think the game got a little too literal itself. I think if the game wanted to make this point, it should have been a little more abstract, a little more poetic. When it started explaining in like sci-fi terms what the painting is and why, like how, like the painters and the writers, and when it started doing that, I feel like it lost the poetic intent that it had, the abstract, like it's inspired by Impressionism, and that doesn't feel very impressionist to just explain the specific of how the painting works.
It starts off by leaning so heavily on the perspective of the people who live in the painting.
Hold on, I never used a gradient level 3 attack. Never ever.
No.
They keep dying too early. I don't even know how I would do this, because they just die too fast. And you need to use a lot of AP to use them. I guess if I disable all of my damage buffs, but...
Oh, now we know why Verso didn't explain anything to any of the expeditioners, is because he needed their help to defeat the Paintress so that Renoir would be free to destroy the world. I'm saying that he is self-destructive. He's like, he's nihilistic, and he violates people's trust.
He really does, and I feel like the game doesn't take that really seriously. Like, the game keeps painting him as like this tragic figure who does the hard thing that needs to be done.
Well, that's the thing, Pauline, is that he's fictional. You're not supposed to take his feelings seriously, but also he has feelings, and you should take them seriously.
And they're the most important feelings of everyone because he's the main character.
Even though he isn't real. But he's right, he isn't real. He's very sad about it. The fact that he isn't real. Man, but you should listen to him.
The more we keep talking about this story, the more it pisses me off.
See, that's the thing that gets to me about, like, stories that are fictional, is like, Maëlle isn't real either. She's a character in a video game.
Well,
and you're like, well, she represents a real person. And it's just like, well, the people in the painting also represent real people. Because they exist in the painting. Which is a fictional world like this video game. So, like, Maëlle needs to live her life? Who cares? She's not real. She's a video game character.
The lesson of the game is very muddled.
I think that this kind of story where you're talking about a fictional world would be more compelling if the characters were not... If they didn't actually, like, make an effort to, like, flesh out the characters. Right?
Mm.
Because if your whole point is that this is a fantasy world that isn't real, these people aren't real, then they should just be caricatures. They shouldn't have like.
But that's not
They shouldn't
compelling
have like
art,
real
Harriet.
depth.
But
What?
Harriet, even characters in a really good, even well-written characters are still fictional.
I realize that, but
That doesn't mean you should destroy yourself being in a fake world in VR constantly.
that's not what I'm.
I'm doing devil's advocate right now.
No, my point is that we're talking about fictional stories within a fictional story.
Why do these enemies have like 50,000 attacks?
And
It's just exhausting. Like, it's not just that it's hard, it's mentally exhausting. I just want to move on. Sorry, go ahead with what you were saying.
if the message is that a work of art doesn't have the same depth that a real person does, like isn't real, doesn't feel, then you need to have your story. You need to have your story within a story reflect that. Like, it's the thing that like fits thematically. Because if your whole thing is just saying like, here are people that are indistinguishable, like for all intents and purposes, they are sentient. However, they are not real.
That is the
Trademark.
problem. That is the problem that Star Trek crews and constantly get when they like make their holotechs.
They keep accidentally putting themselves in moral conundrums with the holotech.
Yeah, they keep making sentient beings accidentally.
I do kind of grade against stories that hinge on sentient people being not real.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. There should be like something that reminds Mael that, you know, as real as they feel, there's still something these people lack to truly be people. Because I'm coming around to what you're saying. Like, Verso has all of the motivations of her brother, of the real one. There's nothing about him that says he's not real. There's nothing about him that says he's missing something in his personality that makes him her real brother. For all intents and purposes, he is her real brother. He's just stuck in here. And that it fails to make the point that she should leave to mourn him.
If Verso wants this world to be erased because none of it is real, and Alicia needs to move on, why is he the main character through which we interact with the other characters?
That's the thing that bothers me the most in the whole game, is just the way the story is written. Mael is clearly the main character, but the way the game is directed seem to think Verso is the main character, and I do not understand that.
In a way, it kind of goes against the writing in a way, because like, why is Verso trying to increase his relationship with the other characters? Unless it is specifically to violate their trust.
It should be Mael. If Mael is the one increasing her relationship with the other characters, it makes the decision to leave more poignant, or the decision to stay. It makes that feel more important for her, because she's the one getting attached to all these fictional characters. But we do that with Verso. I don't get that. I don't understand how you make that decision when you direct the game. It's baffling.
I'm confused as to why he would want to make friends.
It's just
like,
baffling to me.
Like, he is like self-destructive to the degree that it hurts others. Like, he should be like just dissociated from all the people around him.
Forgot to put her alone.
Like, he should have a hard time, thinking of them as people, because he doesn't. Like, he treats his relationship with all these people as if it's real, but he doesn't believe it is.
Why even bother teaching Ciel how to swim if you don't think she's real?
It's so that the fact that the whole trust thing is like pissing me off. Like, the more that I think about his motivations, because the only way that makes sense is if he just made friends with them specifically to get them to fight by his side. But wait, no, because now it doesn't make sense. He should have turned on everyone when they went to fight Renoir, because Renoir wanted the same thing.
I don't...
He wanted to destroy the painting.
I don't understand his motivation. Is just whatever is convenient to the plot at the moment where you play.
Like those two men, the fictional men, fictional Renoir and fictional Verso, have very confusing motivations. Like, fictional Renoir, he's like, alright, so the real Renoir is the bad guy. I'm gonna murder anyone before they find that out.
Alright, I'm not interested in doing this.
And
I'm done. I'm done with this game.
fictional Verso is like, I want Renoir to destroy the world. I'm gonna fight him.